I'm Christina. Standing in the middle of a chaotic Thanksgiving dinner, I watched as the lies and half-truths crumbled around me. The room was filled with an uncomfortable silence, broken only by the sound of Riley's voice, tight with anxiety, asking, "Grant, what are you doing here?" Grant, a tall man with dark hair and a warm grin, stood at the entrance, holding a pie. His smile didn't quite reach his eyes as he said, "You said you'd be here with Madison's family." I figured why not finally meet them. The air in the room thickened, and I could feel the tension rising. It all started a few days ago. I was in a relationship with Ryan. He came from a well-to-do family in the suburbs. His parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, were the kind of people who put on a good show for the holidays. Ryan's sister, Olivia, was a free-spirited party girl who had a close friendship with Ryan's ex-girlfriend, Ava. It was a Tuesday night. Ryan and I were on the couch, with takeout containers on the coffee table and a Netflix show playing in the background. Ryan's arm was heavy across the back of the couch, but I could sense something was off. He muted the TV with a practiced air and said, "Hey, I need to tell you something about Thursday. Thanksgiving. Ava's going to be there." My stomach tightened. I repeated, "Your ex?" Ryan quickly clarified, "It's not a big deal. She's still close with my family, especially Olivia. They've been friends since childhood. My mom insists on inviting her every year." I stared at him, waiting for him to admit how strange this was. Instead, he shrugged it off, saying it was ancient history. He claimed they'd been broken up for 3 years and that they were both over it. But the way he was warning me made me feel like I was the problem. He asked, "Christina, you're secure, right?" It was a trap. If I said yes, I'd have to swallow my discomfort. If I said no, I'd be labeled as the jealous girlfriend. I asked how long they'd been together, and he casually replied, 5 years. 5 years is not a short fling, it's a life shared, filled with memories. He then told me that his family would be watching how I handled it and that he didn't want any drama. I nodded, saying I'd stay calm, but my mind started to race. When Ryan went to the kitchen, I picked up my phone and searched for Ava on social media. Ava was a 32-year-old marketing executive. Her profile was public, filled with pictures of her at business events, vacations, and nights out. I scrolled and found pictures of her with Olivia at various events. Then, I saw the old couple photos with Ryan. Beach vacations, Christmas mornings, and weddings. In one picture, Ava was sitting on Ryan's lap, and his smile was wide and genuine, a smile I hadn't seen in a long time. But then, I noticed recent photos. Ava was with a man named Leo. Their pictures had captions like "My soulmate" and "Can't imagine life without you." Friends left heart emojis and inside jokes. I felt a strange pressure. If Ava had a boyfriend, why was Ryan acting like her presence was so dangerous? I decided to message Leo. I created a burner Instagram account and sent him a message, explaining the situation. Leo replied quickly, shocked that Ava hadn't told him Ryan would be at the Thanksgiving dinner. We messaged back and forth, and he said he'd been with Ava for 6 months. He knew about Olivia but had no idea Ryan would be there. I then made the bold offer, "You should come to Thanksgiving. If everything is innocent, your presence shouldn't be a problem." After a long pause, Leo replied, "Screw it. Send me the address." Thanksgiving morning arrived, and Ryan was acting overly chatty on the drive to his parents' house. We pulled into the driveway of their well-maintained suburban home. As soon as I stepped inside, I felt like an outsider. Mrs. Thompson hugged Ryan tightly first and then turned to me with a smile that seemed forced. Mr. Thompson shook my hand and asked polite questions about my job. Olivia waved from the living room, a glass of wine in her hand. And there was Ava, standing near the kitchen island, looking as comfortable as if she still lived there. Ava's eyes flicked to Ryan first and then to me. She stepped forward and gave Ryan a long, full hug. Ryan's hand automatically landed on her waist. Olivia didn't even look up from her wine. The seating arrangement was telling. Ava sat in the armchair closest to Ryan, and I took the couch across from them. Throughout the afternoon, they shared stories that left me out. Ryan and Ava laughed together, and their voices dropped when they talked to each other. It was obvious to me, but no one else seemed to notice or care. Then, Leo's message came. He said he was 5 minutes away and that he couldn't believe he was actually doing this. My heart raced. The doorbell rang at 10:04 p.m. And the conversation in the room died instantly. Mrs. Thompson frowned and asked if we were expecting someone else. Olivia shook her head. Ryan stood up halfway and then froze. I watched Ava, her smile faltered slightly. Mrs. Thompson went to the door, and a moment later, Leo appeared, holding a pie. He introduced himself as Ava's boyfriend. The room fell silent. Ava stood up slowly and asked, Leo, what are you doing here? Leo laughed softly and said he thought it'd be a nice surprise. He then turned to Mrs. Thompson and said they'd been together for 6 months. Ryan stood up abruptly and told Leo he should have called first. Leo tilted his head and asked why. He said, you said you'd be here. I didn't know Ava's ex-boyfriend would be hosting her for Thanksgiving. The air in the room became tense. Ava tried to explain that it was just a friendly gathering, but Leo wasn't convinced. He pulled out his phone and showed pictures of Ava and Ryan from a hidden album on her phone. Mrs. Thompson gasped, and Ryan froze. Ava's face turned pale. Leo said, these don't look like just friends' pictures. Ryan admitted he'd never deleted the photos, saying it wasn't a big deal. I finally spoke up, saying, do you all understand now why I thought transparency was important? Ryan spun around and accused me of sabotaging Thanksgiving. I looked him in the eye and said, no, you staged me. I was just trying to get the truth out. Mrs. Thompson stood up and said the situation was getting out of hand. Leo said, this is finally making sense. He turned to Ava and asked if she still had feelings for Ryan. Ava didn't answer. Olivia spoke up in a small voice, Ava, you never said you still felt something. Ava snapped, I don't know what I feel. This family just feels like home. Leo exhaled sharply and said, and what am I, a placeholder? No one answered. Mrs. Thompson whispered that dinner was ready, but no one moved. Leo set the pie on the counter and said he was leaving. Ava lunged after him, calling his name. Their voices rose as they walked towards the front door, and we could hear the words of betrayal and lies. Ryan turned on me, his eyes blazing. I stood my ground and told him I wasn't the one who'd created the mess. I just wanted the truth. I grabbed my coat and walked out of the house. That night, my phone was filled with missed calls and voicemails from Ryan. Some were angry, some accusatory, and some desperate. But at 2:17 a.m. I listened to a voicemail where his voice was broken. He said he'd talked to Ava, and she'd admitted she'd never gotten over him. His mom and Olivia had known all along. The next morning, I got a message from Leo. He thanked me for telling him the truth. He said Ava and he had broken up, and he was glad to know. A few weeks later, Ryan came to my apartment. He looked defeated. He said he'd told his family Ava couldn't come to holidays anymore, but his mom had fought him on it, and Olivia was angry. He asked for my forgiveness, but I told him it wasn't about forgiveness. It was about the pattern of his family prioritizing Ava's feelings over mine. Now, 6 weeks later, my life is calmer. Leo and I sometimes grab coffee. He calls it trauma bonding. He's dating someone new and seems happy. Ryan moved out of state for a job, and Ava deleted most of her photos with Ryan and posted something vague about self-discovery. I've learned that sometimes, the red flags are in what people expect you to tolerate. And if causing a little chaos is what it takes to expose the truth, then so be it.